Hello, I'm a slice of beef lasagna. How is your life today? I wanted to talk about Resident Evil 9. In the days that have passed since I completed my playthrough of Resident Evil 9 Requiem, I've come to terms with what this game represents and what this game means for the franchise. This game is the culmination of 30 years of survival horror and the end of an era for Resident Evil sparked by redemption. It is indeed a requiem. Resident Evil Requiem is a lazy, rushed, new iteration of the same slop we love. Is that a bad thing? It depends on who you ask. For me personally, I think this game is trash. And so let's be objective about this game first. Is this game good? Yes. Does it work? Yes. Is it fun? Yes. Does it bring anything new to the franchise in a meaningful way? No. And that is where my main issue is for this game. People are treating Resident Evil Requiem like it is doing something revolutionary and should be crowned as the best Resident Evil game ever made. Bro, calm down. There have been far better Resident Evil experiences. What this game does is take those better experiences and mashes them up as a sort of tribute to Resident Evil. On one side, you have Grace. Her sections play more like a traditional survival horror, akin to Resident Evil 7. And Leon's sections adhere to the action horror style of Resident Evil 4 or 5. But at that point, why wouldn't I just play those better experiences? At times, this game feels innovative and it explores new ideas, particularly in the beginning hospital section. But beyond that, in the latter half of the game, when you play as Leon, everything starts to feel just bland. I mean, just look at Raccoon City. It's just a bunch of gray blocks. And I know you're going to say, oh, well, what do you expect? But at that point, then why do it? You should do something that looks enticing to the eye. Or at least there's ways to work with the environment in order to do something interesting, but they chose to just make it a bunch of gray blocks. I mean, there's definitely a lot of interesting things going on with the lighting, but beyond that, everything is just gray blocks. The glass floor thing, that's something that's kind of new, but like the game rarely ever does anything like that. I can't ever imagine myself coming back to this Resident Evil if I want to play a Resident Evil game. And in that way, I feel like this game has completely failed. Sit and think about this for a second. You are accepting less with this game, and you're calling this game the greatest Resident Evil. This game is more akin to Resident Evil 3 Remake. Be honest about it. It doesn't have any post-game content at all. Each character has minimal options for their arsenal. I beat the game in about 10 hours, so that means you're actually getting 2 5-hour Resident Evil campaigns that are competent but unsatisfying because your experience has to be broken up between these two different play styles. You don't get the satisfaction of learning the in-depth systems of Leon's combat and being challenged with gauntlets of enemies and locations that feel well thought out. Things like verticality and such. You don't get the satisfaction of learning a map that interconnects throughout your entire playthrough as you backtrack through your map. Essentially, you get 2 separate campaigns that don't really do too much to connect to one another in a meaningful way beyond storytelling. The only thing this game has to offer is the story. And I think that is why this game has generated so much hype. Leon is back. Raccoon City is back. People are just so sucked up into the hype that they create this feedback loop where they bought the game and they want the game to be good to validate their purchase. So even if the game is slightly good, they think it's amazing. Obviously, a game is going to be good if you take 2 games that are proven to be good and put them together. But once again, I ask, why wouldn't I just go back to those better experiences? And someone's going to say, well, what if you're in the mood for both? That's like the only time this game makes sense. I don't see why I would ever. But they give you these different play styles, but they don't feel fulfilling. The game is good. I can firmly say that the game is good, but it's just not a great Resident Evil game to me, and I don't think it's as good as people are making it out to be. It's an okay Resident Evil game. It's not a great one. It's definitely top 10, but it's nowhere near top 5. So it would be better to just go to the other games because they're going to be more fulfilling if you want those different experiences. If you enjoyed Leon's sections, go back to Resident Evil 4 Remake. It does it much better. If you enjoy the explorable outskirts of Raccoon City, go back to Resident Evil 8. It does a hub world much better. If you enjoy the thrill of slow-paced survival horror, go back to Resident Evil 7 for a first-person view because it does it much better. Or you can go back to Resident Evil 2 Remake for a third-person view because it does it much better. And just because a game feels derivative doesn't make it invalid. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that as a full-priced $70 product, you have to do more than mash up your old iterations. That's why you have games like Dark Sector, which tries to imitate things like Resident Evil and Dead Space and Gears of War. But when you think about all those different games that did kind of copying the over-the-shoulder action horror kind of style, they did something meaningful in order to create their own personality within the genre. And that's what this game lacks. This game lacks a personality that feels unique to any other Resident Evil. That's all I have to say about the game, honestly. I think this is a game where you're better off just watching someone else play it on the internet or just watching cutscenes or listen to somebody talk about the game's story, because you're going to get pretty much the same experience from that if you've ever played any other Resident Evil game. This game is probably, I would say, to buy it when it's on sale is probably a better idea. All right, hold up. Wait, I got more things that I want to talk about. I have more grievances with this franchise and this game and what they decided to do with the story. Why did we not have any other legacy Resident Evil characters in this game, Capcom? Of all the Resident Evil games to have multiple legacy characters meet up, it would have been this one. I know we got Sherry, but Sherry kind of really doesn't add too much to the story. I mean, no, Sherry is an extremely important character, but people are clamoring for Jill and Claire to come back. Where is Jill and Claire? I'm starting to think the reason more legacy characters didn't show up is because of budgeting or time constraints. That's the only thing that makes sense. And can we stop trying to make bad guys into good guys? Mortal Kombat has been doing that, and I hate it. What I'm talking about is at the end of the game, you find out that, surprise, the virus that we've been trying to stop this entire time is not actually going to control people's minds. It's just a cure-all potion for any and all viruses, I guess, whatever, to atone for his sins. Oswald Spencer, the literal psychopath, decided that he wanted to get in touch with his feelings. After all sorts of human experimentation, even on children, that is the big reveal of the game. Which makes no sense at all to me, but I mean, whatever. Fucking Mortal Kombat, Kratos from God of War, now Resident Evil is doing this crap where they gotta make everyone be friends and be nice, and when they're evil is what makes them interesting in the first place. Just straight up anger for Kratos is what I'm talking about, but maybe they're just misunderstood. Like, no, that's what they're supposed to be. It's art, man. Anyway, last thing I want to talk about is Hunk. In the game, there's a boss fight with the Commander, who is totally, probably, but maybe not, could be Hunk. And as I'm getting ready to speak my mind on this, I'm realizing that that was the whole point. Totally, probably, but maybe not, could be Hunk. That was the entire point of this game. Capcom knew that putting a character in the game that looks like Hunk, voiced by the voice actor for Hunk, would cause people to start talking about the game like this. To start debating whether or not this character has been... The character's back, and we're just... Yeah, clap your hands. Yeah, don't you remember Hunk? You remember Hunk? Cool guy. You know, I do appreciate it, you know. By making the Commander in this game, it allows for us to experience sort of a what-if scenario with Leon versus Hunk. It allows us to see this battle between two titans, this epic battle between two titans in the Resident Evil universe, all without jeopardizing the mystique of Hunk. So in a way, everybody gets their way. Everybody gets to have what they want out of a Resident Evil game. You want Hunk versus Leon? Sure. You want action style? Sure. You want slow paced survival horror? Sure. Everybody gets what they want. It doesn't matter if this is Hunk or not, because we still got to experience something awesome. This game has everything that Resident Evil offers. Everything that Resident Evil has offered over the past 30 years, all in one package. So in some ways, I do appreciate this game and what it is. I appreciate the consistency of Resident Evil because, like I said, this game is good. It is fun to play. And with more remakes on the way for Resident Evil, I am still excited for those iterations. Overall, Resident Evil Requiem is a love letter to the fans. A safe, lazy, rush game filled with the same stuff you know and love. Don't expect much more. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing, but it's not what I wanted. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. I don't see myself playing this game again. There's nothing to do. I mean, what, play it on Insanity? I'm not doing that. Whatever. I mean, maybe I will. Whatever.